Hello there and welcome back to Too Lazy to Read. Today's deep dive is on Janet Abu-Lughod's Before European Hegemony, the World System A.D. 1250 to 1350. Her core claim is simple and quietly revolutionary. Long before the age of European overseas empires, there was already an interlinked old world economy. Between roughly 1250 and 1350, merchants, producers and rulers across a vast stretch from northwestern Europe through the Mediterranean and the Middle East to India, Southeast Asia and China were connected by trade routes, finance and political arrangements that made exchange possible. It was not global in the modern sense. Much of sub-Saharan Africa, the Americas and the Pacific world were outside it. But it was extensive enough to matter and sophisticated enough that no single region can be treated as the natural center. And if you've ever felt like globalization was invented by container ships and smartphones, Abu-Lughod is about to very politely disagree with you. But before we march further across caravan routes and maritime republics, a quick nod where it's due. This book was suggested to us by Ficonomics, who clearly enjoys throwing us into large-scale historical debates before breakfast. So thank you for the recommendation.
Honestly, thank you. It's not every day someone hands us 7 centuries of interconnected trade routes, and somehow makes it feel genuinely exciting to explore.
We do appreciate it. And to all of you listening, if you've got a book that rearranges how we see the world, do send it our way. We have maps, tea, and a slightly alarming amount of enthusiasm. All right, let's move on. So her second claim flips the familiar Rise of the West storyline. If a wide trade network already existed, and if Europe was only one player among many, then Europe's later dominance is not by itself proof that Europe had some unique historical destiny. Abu-Lughod explicitly contrasts this earlier multi-centered system with what world system scholars often call the modern world system, associated with later European hegemony. Her question is not, how did Europe become great because Europe is great? Her question is, what changed in the system, structurally, so that by the 16th century, a new phase of world integration could form with Europeans increasingly able to impose themselves by force? The method is wonderfully concrete. Abu-Lughod doesn't treat the world economy as a foggy abstraction. She maps it as a set of linked trade circuits, routes with their own internal logic and their own key hubs, so you can understand the system by following real journeys, fairs that operated on predictable calendars, industrial towns built on specialized production, maritime city-states that fought over sea lanes and built commercial institutions, a land empire that made long overland travel unusually possible, and a chain of ports and straits where goods moved in stages rather than in one neat end-to-end trip. What you'll get today is the whole book in order, chapter by chapter, translated into a clear mental model. We'll keep the scholarship honest. Abu-Lughod is precise, and she deserves that respect, but we'll keep it accessible, because the point of Too Lazy to Read is to make big ideas usable. Along the way, we'll connect medieval trade circuits to modern life. Why choke points like straits and canals matter. Why financial systems love predictable calendars. Why no network stays stable forever, and why, when a system breaks, it doesn't break evenly. Some regions fall harder, some adapt faster, and sometimes the future winner is simply the part of the network that ends up standing when the dust settles.
So basically, medieval people built globalization, beta version, and then history pressed a reset button.
Yes, except the reset button is made of plague, politics, and bad luck, which is less satisfying than a software update, but more historically accurate. So, I'm Nigel, and Clara is here as moral support, comic relief, and, crucially, the voice of every listener who's already thinking, okay, but how did Pepper from Southeast Asia end up somewhere cold and muddy in northern Europe in the year 1300?
And without it getting stolen 14 times.
That is the correct level of skepticism. Now let's set the scene. And for this book, the mental movie Abu-Lughod invites is a caravan and port city montage,